What's going on, gamers? Chris here with telesplashgaming, and if this is your first time visiting, thanks for popping in and hanging out. But what am I blabbering about today? Well, as everybody knows, the PS5 and the Xbox Series X are due for release at the end of the year. And frankly, that's about really all we know. We don't know a whole lot about the hardware specs 100%, backwards compatibility. We don't even know a price point yet. The PS5 hasn't even got a look yet to even know what we're getting. But with that, what I do know is the PS4 and the Xbox One, for as great as they've been, there's been some franchises they've been missing. But you know what? The old trollster doesn't forget. And I'm here to talk about a handful of game franchises that were previously popular that missed this console generation, but I think they can rise up like the Undertaker, like a zombie out of the grave, and make an appearance on the next gen hardware. Stick around, let's take a look. First franchise up is one that's got a little nostalgia hitting the old heartstrings for me, and that's Resistance. Resistance was the first game I got on my PlayStation 3, and it was also the first game I ever played in HD, 720p. Wow, was it just incredibly crisp. My mind was blown. Now, it wasn't the Halo killer that people tried to make it out to be. I always hate that. We don't need to kill other games. Just be fun. And Resistance was fun. I played it co-op with my brother the entire way through, and we loved it. Then there was a sequel that was also pretty well received, and another sequel that was pretty well received, and then it literally died. It disappeared. And the PS4 launched, I thought for sure we're going to get some sort of Resistance, but the only Resistance we got was Resistance to getting a new Resistance game, because I haven't seen one. So what better time than to have a PlayStation 5 with possibly Resistance making another launch appearance, or just later on with the updated graphics, with the way gameplay is online, Resistance could really make a splash in the FPS market. What do you guys think? Next up is an Xbox exclusive. Now, I know that Peter Molyneux was amazing at hyping Fable up, and we all kind of felt a little bit let down, but if you take away the hype job, it was still a really solid action RPG, and the sequels were also great. So really, Fable is a good franchise that's kind of been left in the dust. Now, there's been a few little things here and there. They've had some different IPs that have popped up, but then they always get canceled, something happens. But what better time than for the Xbox Series X to bring Fable back? And frankly, with this kind of hardware and graphics, maybe that acorn can actually grow into a tree over the lifetime of the game with the new stuff. You know what I mean? Moving on to a franchise from Konami, and that is Castlevania. Now, Castlevania hasn't had a release since 2014's Lords of Shadows 2. That's crazy. We are literally going on 6 years since we've seen Castlevania, and this franchise has a game on every console generation. So for them to skip this one entirely is pretty crazy. Now, Konami has released some remasters of their classic games on current hardware, which is cool. But if they're still in the vampire hunt, this might be a great time to start sinking their teeth into some game development. You like those puns? Okay, they're bad, they're terrible. But what I'm saying is that Castlevania is a franchise that's huge. I mean, it doesn't need a bunch of marketing. You say a new Castlevania is coming and people are going to be drawn to it. And frankly, we don't even need a huge action RPG set with brand new 4K visuals. I'm talking, hey, we can do old school 16-bit, 8-bit style Castlevania on new hardware, and it's gonna sell. So I don't care what version of Castlevania we get, but I would love to see Castlevania make a comeback on the next-gen hardware. Now, this franchise originally started out on Nintendo, but has made its way over to Microsoft, and that's Perfect Dark. Now, I know Perfect Dark is really like the successor to GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64, and then the GameCube got it, but eventually it became an Xbox exclusive. But what happened to it? I mean, Perfect Dark has a great story, and even though it started off as an FPS, I'm pretty sure it has a few different game mechanics in its last launch that make it a really cool game. I love Joanna Dark, so what happened to the game? I don't know. Can somebody tell me? Where's Perfect Dark? Where's Joanna? Where are you at? Anyway, with that being said, Perfect Dark is not coming out. There's nothing on the horizon for this current gen, so why not make this a title for the next gen? If Xbox Series X wants to give us something old but new, used but blue, Perfect Dark might be the answer. I'll take it. Anybody else like Perfect Dark? Am I the only one? Okay, so this franchise may have worn out its welcome a little bit because there was a lot of games and some of them weren't always fantastic and they get a little repetitive at times, and that's Twisted Metal. But here's the deal. Twisted Metal is one of those games where it's still just so fun to smash, bash, crash, and just take out other drivers in their vehicles. And I always love those games. And frankly, it's been a long time since we had a Twisted Metal game. It may have lost its luster to a few people, maybe the sales weren't as great, and it had a really, really dark tone on its last launch. But it skipped a generation. Maybe it's time for Twisted Metal to make another appearance. And with the PS5 coming out, hey, it'd be an easy launch title, be an easy game to make. They have a ton of them. Copy the formula that works, give us some new characters, and let's do it. Infamous. That was a game that was a major surprise for me upon release. I was blown away by how much fun being a superhero
or a villain, if you like trolling everybody in the games,
could be without a big, commonly known superhero franchise name attached to it. But Infamous was awesome. It was one of the best superhero games I've actually ever played, and the storyline was great. And then it had a sequel, and then it just kind of disappeared. Like, I don't get it. We didn't get it this console generation, and the way it looked and played on the PS3 was awesome. So I would love to see Infamous brought back on the next-gen hardware. Graphics aren't everything, but with the kind of superpowers you have, this would be a perfect game for the best quality graphics you can get. Okay, last game on this list today, and that's Knights of the Old Republic. Yes, I'm sending the wish out. I'm putting on the first star by the pale moonlight on the third Sunday in May at 6 o'clock or whatever it needs to be, because I want Knights of the Old Republic. The game came, it saw, it conquered. It was amazing. It was well reviewed. Game of the Year contender. It got a sequel. Maybe the sequel wasn't as good, okay? But it was still a solid sequel. And then it disappeared. Now I know BioWare, I know Lucasfilm, I know Disney, all these changes happened. And the second game wasn't even made by BioWare, but the formula was similar. It looked really good, it played well, it was just a little bit off on the story, but hey, it worked. Now what happened? I don't know. What I can tell you is that what better way to get a massive launch title than if Disney said, hey, here's what we're gonna do. We're making a new Knights of the Old Republic game with updated characters, amazingly new visuals, cool side quests, in a galaxy far, 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 far away. That's it. It'd be a drop the mic moment. They're not gonna do it. They're not gonna do it. But if they did, I'd empty my wallet right now. I'd pre-order it 5 minutes ago. Who else wouldn't? Come on. Does Disney want to make a killing? Make a Knights of the Old Republic game. That's it. Copy the formula. It's easy. That's it. All right, gamers, there you go. A little Phoenix down potion on these franchises, and boom, I think they're right back in business. Let me know in the comments down below which franchise you would like to see on the next gen hardware. I have a bunch of games I can't wait to play on it if we get them. For those of you sticking around, thank you so much for liking and subscribing and being part of the channel. It is greatly appreciated. And don't forget, like always, keep trolling and keep rolling. We'll see you next week.